Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video I am showing you these Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors. I bought this set when it was on offer on Jackson's Art website. Unfortunately it was not very well packaged and it got wet in transit, but it didn't damage the paints. I also ordered Colliery colors and the outer packaging got so wet that it also affected the info leaflets. I will show you this set in another video. Jackson's Art were really good about it when I complained about the state of the sets and they offered me a 20% refund. My first impression of the box: I love the big pans and the colors look really yummy. The lid has a convenient color swatch chart which is in Japanese and in English. Gansai are traditional Japanese watercolors and are sold in large pans due to the bigger size of Japanese brushes. The bigger pans prevent these brushes from getting damaged. These traditional colors are used with sumi inks and non-traditional Japanese paper. I am using them on cold-pressed watercolor paper. Gansai colors are semi-transparent and can be used as watercolors and as gouache colors. This set has 24 colors. Here's a comparison between the Gansai pans and the traditional Western full pans. As you can see, they are much bigger. For swatching, I am using this Japanese brush which is quite big. To activate the colors, I just add a few drops of water. Though I have noticed quickly that it's not necessary, as the colors go on the brush easily. I'm swatching the inside of the lid first, but I prefer to use watercolor paper, so I will do a proper swatching on there. This set has the following colors: red, rose madder deep, cadmium scarlet, cadmium yellow, lemon yellow, yellow ochre, olive green, sap green light, sap green, hookah's green, sap green deep, viridian, turquoise green deep, malachite, ultramarine pale, ultramarine, turquoise blue, indigo, cobalt violet, burnt sienna, raw umber deep, black and white. When I mixed the ultramarine with the cadmium yellow, I got a color similar to the olive green. Mixing rose madder deep and lemon yellow achieved a color similar to cadmium scarlet, though I would need to add more yellow. Mixing white and black gave me a nice grey. Here you can see the colors when they are dry. My attempt at painting this robin wasn't very successful. I used a brush that was too big for the wings and I overworked the feathers. I still have lots to learn when it comes to using watercolors. What I have noticed is that the colors come out very pale when working wet in wet. For the background I used indigo. I had to layer it to make the sky pop more. Here I worked wet in wet using ultramarine and rose madder, and then I used indigo with cadmium scarlet, which is not such a good combination. Here I tried more wet in wet with sap green, cadmium yellow and yellow ochre. Here I have wet the whole page and then dropped the colors turquoise, ultramarine light, olive, sap green light and rose madder deep. And here I have used black, sap green deep and red. And here I have used the colors straight from the pan with very little water. The colors I used are turquoise blue, sap green deep and red. Unfortunately, I closed the sketchbook too early, resulting in this messy area. On the next page I worked more wet in wet. And here I tried my hand at painting flowers. I found it difficult to create shaded areas with the same reds. As I said before, I am still a beginner with watercolors and I am often still a bit too heavy-handed. I need a lot of practice. I will probably go back to these flowers with a black fine liner. So far I prefer using these paints with little water so they pop more. I think they are just not brilliant enough when watered down. I have painted this motif a few times and I thought I'd try out these paints. I started with the sky first, wet on wet, and I found the resulting sky too pale and added extra layers. For the foreground I used indigo and for the middle ground turquoise blue, wet on dry. Again I added extra layers. I wasn't very careful with the cat and the hare and they lost their shape a little, so I added a fine outline with my black fine liner, added whiskers with my jelly roll pen, and for the snow I used the white that was in the box. As you can see, it is very faint. Overall, I'm not very happy with this version. I painted this motif with acrylic inks and they are very strong and vibrant, as you can see here. As I was pressed for time, I wasn't very careful with the details. For my next painting, I painted the background and the twigs and branches first and then layered them. Unfortunately, the background turned out to be a bit blotchy. I worked on the bird starting with the red-orange chest area and I dropped in red, yellow and cadmium scarlet. The tail feathers were painted with a mix of black and white. I also used raw umber for the bird's top of the head and the body. To give the impression of feathers, I used this rake brush. This set is a nice set for people who don't want to mix colors much and are looking for more gouache-like paints. The paints have a creamy consistency. They layer fine. Wet in wet they can look very pale, while straight from the pan with only a little water they are quite vibrant. I think they would work well for line and wash illustrations. They don't flow as well wet on wet like other watercolors, but lifting out and softening edges is not a problem. The big pans are great to use and this 24 set has plenty of greens, so you don't really need to mix a green. I really like the indigo, turquoise, violet, malachite, ultramarine and ultramarine pale. I have read that the colors come out glossy. I can't really see that. Maybe it depends on the paper you use. I don't have Japanese rice paper to test the colors on. One thing I should mention is that these paints are not light fast. YouTuber and artist Kim Crick tested these colors for light fastness and concluded that they weren't. Therefore they are best to use for sketching and illustrations that you would scan. I hope you found this video useful. If you have a question, please feel free to leave a comment, and if you want to support this channel you can do so by liking, sharing and subscribing. You can also donate via PayPal, the link is in the description. Thank you for watching, happy painting, until next time.